Hey y'all, welcome back to the Hot Rod Dad channel. Glad you came, hope you stay. Like, subscribe, comment, share, etc, etc. It is a beautiful sunshiny day here today in Tennessee, and it's Father's Day. So I've got a special Father's Day video for you, and I'm going to jump into Oscar here and go talk to a very special guy about a very special truck. If you've watched the channel for very long, you've seen the truck that I call Ol Smokey in some of the videos, and this video is going to be all about Ol Smokey and its owner, my dad. So for Father's Day, I'm going to go over and interview my dad, talk to him, and let him tell you in his own words about his history with this truck. So y'all stay tuned. I thought I might find you up here.
Yeah, this is my resting place.
Your resting place?
Yeah.
You're just taking it easy?
Just trying to take it easy. I don't know about
So, you're sitting on the porch of the old home place here?
Right. I grew up, born and raised right here.
Born and raised right here in this house.
Right.
So, there it is, folks. There's my favorite truck in the wide world. Come over here and tell us a little bit about it. You could have at least cleaned the bugs off the windshield.
We just get more on there.
Well, you drive it all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
So what year did you buy this truck?
1970.
1970.
Yeah.
And I was what, about 2 months old maybe?
I think it was in August we bought it, and you was
So I was born in March, so
yeah,
I wasn't but just a few months old at the time. And so this was your main mode of transportation for a while, I guess.
It was for a long time. We bought it, and
Well, you had a 66 Ford Mustang too.
yeah, and a car payment.
And a car payment.
We finally got it paid off, and we bought a trailer. We moved into the trailer, and we lived in the trailer, and she got wanting to build a back porch on it, so I didn't have nothing to haul the lumber with.
Yeah.
So I went and bought this for $275 plus some spare tires and things.
Did you get like 5 spare tires with it?
I did. They smelled slick. And so I bought it, and I used it to haul lumber and stuff to build the back porch.
Yeah.
And then we decided to build a house where you grew up.
Yep.
And we used it a lot.
So we've got a lot of history with this truck, and I actually learned how to drive in this truck right here. And at that time it was a 235.
Right.
Six cylinder. Yeah. Originally it came with a 216, 3-speed on the column.
Yeah.
But that was a Babbitt bearing engine, so it wore out pretty quick.
Yeah, it didn't last long.
And you replaced that with a 1957, if memory serves.
Right, 6-cylinder.
6-cylinder.
Yep.
And
it didn't do much better.
It didn't do much better, no. So it was, this truck was painted in one time, right?
Right.
1970, about 72, something like that.
Like that.
Now I want to show y'all one thing right here, though. This thing has got, if you've never seen the truck up close, it's got white specks of paint all over it. Tell us what that's from.
That's from me putting a scaffold in the bed of the truck to get up and paint the overhang.
Paint the soffits on the house and stuff.
Right.
I believe this must have been where you cleaned off the roller. You can see right there the end of the roller looks like.
Yeah, that's it.
So I guess we pulled this out of the barn in about I guess it's been about 12 years ago now.
Yeah,
so
Parker was a small.
you was about 68 years old, I guess, at the time, and had
spring chicken.
Yeah, and was retired.
Right.
And so you wanted a motorcycle again.
Yep.
And Mom didn't want you to have that.
No, she told me, said she'd buy me a plot up the cemetery if I got a motorcycle.
Well, there is a reason why they call them murder cycles.
Yeah.
So you hatched the idea that we would fix up the old truck right here, and that would be your toy.
Right.
So tell us what all's been done to it.
Well, you told me that if I tear it down, you'd build it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I went down there and looked in the barn, and it's piled up to about here with everything.
Yeah.
Took us 2 days to get the junk off of it.
Yeah.
And we got it off, and we took the tractor and I pulled it out, and I drove and brought it up behind the house, and Parker steered it.
And that's where you tore it down.
Yep, that's where I tore it down, right there in the backyard. Took a year.
Best I remember, I said to pull the bed off of it in the front sheet metal, and then we'd take it over to my place with the cabin chassis.
Right.
So you got it tore down that far, and then it came over to me, and then we started rebuilding it over there.
Yeah.
But this thing was so rough, y'all watching won't believe me, but we ended up cutting it right below that vent right there. The new patch panels that you can get does not have these louvers in it. I wanted to retain those, so I went and cut it off right below those louvers right here, and I'd say about the bottom foot of the cab was essentially gone. I saved a small strip underneath the seat right there of the floorboards. All the cab corners, or all the cab mounts, were totally gone on it. So we replaced the engine with a crate engine right there. Just a 350, basic 350, and a 350 turbo transmission. And how many miles you put on this thing now?
It's got 23,000.
23,000
Yeah.
on that set of gauges.
Yeah.
So you drive it quite a lot. Oh, it's got a Cadillac air cleaner on it too, right there. So it's just basic.
And a frying pan.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story about that. I was happened to be at the recycle center right there where you haul your garbage off. And I spotted that pot lid somebody had thrown out there, and it had this stainless steel knob on it, and I thought, well, I know a place for that, so I brought it home and retapped it, and that is the hold down for the air cleaner. So we'll take a peek right back here. Pretty basic as far as the bed goes. We wanted to retain enough of the original bed in here. A lot of guys put these on S10 frames, but we actually put this on the original chassis, and I put just a wide enough tire in there that we didn't have to put any mini tubs or anything in the bed, because I wanted to retain all this bed space, because after all, it is still a truck, and we wanted to use it as such. So we put a 69, I believe that was, Mercury Montego rear end in it, and that's a little bit narrower than what most guys use, but we had the wheels specially made for that offset, and it puts the the wheel to the outside right there, and it looks like a real dish deep wheel, and it almost looks like you'd have to have wheel tubs in there, but there's not any. One other thing we did to the bed here is we added these sideboards, just because I thought it might look cool. And we found these boards off an old barn that was being torn down, and it was probably, I don't know, close to 100 years old. You can see the saw marks right there in the boards, and it's really wormy, so they're kind of cool looking and match the truck. Lots of memories with this old truck, and that's one reason why I didn't want to paint it, because every little blemish and every little scar on it tells a story in my mind. I remember we used to ride back here in the back, and one day I was getting in, I had my hand around here stepping up in the back of the truck, and my mom slammed the door on my fingers. So some of the memories are a little painful, but that's okay. And another memory I have of the truck is when we were cleaning fence row right there. We stuck an axe right there in that stake pocket right there, and as we was driving through the field, it was hitting the back of the cab right there, and that's that scar right there. And so tell us about this door art right here.
Well, my dad worked with the Crossville Lumber Company for about 40 years. So we decided we would memorialize the Crossville Lumber Company on the side of this truck.
Yeah, well, he did drive it a lot, so that's 4 generations.
And the original phone number right there was the number when the company opened, 169.
We actually located a phone book circa the early 50s right there, and found the phone number right there. And my friend Kirby Stafford did the lettering on the doors right there, and he did a fine job with the brushwork on that. And it looks very distressed. Looks like it belongs on the truck since the beginning. So
it distresses me when I look at it and realize how old I am.
So tell us a story about the windshield right there.
Oh, when I bought it, it actually had a little hole here in the windshield.
That was from a gunshot, correct?
Yeah, and it grew a little bit. So I got some tar like you put on the roof. Put that tar in there, and I drove it for years with that windshield in there. It's like that.
And everybody give you a hard time about it.
They did.
So we discussed the paint job on it right here. It's been painted since the early 70s, yeah, and mostly set outside until I would say the late 90s.
When it went in the barn.
When I finally convinced you to put it in the barn, or there wouldn't be nothing left of it. So after we got this thing back on the road and we took it to a cruise-in, tell us about the paint job.
Oh, the guy that painted it was down there bragging about his paint job, and we was at a car show, so I'd walked up and heard him. So I told them fellas that's standing around there, I said, my truck's sitting right up there, he painted it, you'd see what kind of work
what kind of paint job it is, huh?
I don't think he appreciated it.
Probably not. But when we first started on this truck, you're kind of a shiny paint and mag wheels kind of guy.
Yeah.
And what did I tell you?
Told me not to do that this was it.
This was right I guess about a dozen years ago. That was the onset of the patina truck craze, and it fits right in nowadays. So if you had it do over again, would you paint it?
I'd keep it just like it is right now.
I bet it gets a lot of attention.
It does, everywhere it goes. Even women notice it.
I tell folks all the time that when you drive one of these cool old trucks, not to be in a hurry anywhere you go, because it's inevitable somebody wants to talk about the truck. So we'll take a little peek inside here. Not a whole lot to look at inside, just basic truck. But the one thing I did, we recovered the seat, and I knew it had to be that ox blood red, because when you got the truck originally, it had it was just, I guess, the original seat fabric on it.
Everything was original,
and it was tore all to pieces. Yeah. And my mom recovered that seat, and I don't know where she got the material, but it was that ox blood red. So I knew that it had to be something that color.
Yeah.
So we just had a local upholsterer redo it, and he did the roll and pleat in it right there. Yeah. So we did spring for a low car shifter, just to kind of give it a a look like an old straight shift right there. And it has a tilt column in it, and the old steering wheel I picked up at the flea market for about 10 bucks. That's on my list of upgrades to do. And the other feature of the interior, I picked that Bigfoot throttle pedal up at a swamp meet. And the one little stealthy thing that I did that I had a whole lot of fun doing is, because the ignition switch only is a single position and does not have the crank, you know, it doesn't turn over like the new cars. The starter was actually in the floor. So I took the old choke cable right there and I converted that to the start switch. And one of my favorite features about this truck is the Coca-Cola bottle opener right there. And right down there on the running board, I put I fastened a sarsaparilla bottle cap right there. I've got 2 or 3 more I think I'm going to sprinkle around there on the running board, because I wanted it to look like an old delivery truck. And I could just imagine one of the workers popping off a Coke right there and letting the bottle cap just fall right there on the running board. Now, as I stated before, we cut this cab off all the way up about right here, because it was, I mean, it would just crumble up in your hand. It was just gone. So all this patina right here is all fake. So we kind of blended it in the best we could. And up here, and there's even some white specks of paint on it here and there that we kind of put on there. So as we were rebuilding the truck, I tried to preserve the exterior on it and improve and update some of the mechanicals on it so it'd make a good driver. And you know, structurally I tried to keep the truck sound, but I left a few little strategically placed rust holes right there, if you will, just to you know, kind of give it a little character. So you was recalling a story about this door right there. I remember when we started rebuilding this truck, you could open this door and this passenger side door would drop about 2 or 3 inches, because the door post itself was rusted away from the seal plate and structurally not very sound. But you were recalling a story about the door.
That's right. As he was saying, that was a flaw in these trucks from the factory.
Yeah.
And so one day I went to pick you and your brother up at school, and I think your mom was with us too, and she's sitting in the center. And Chris, the older brother, was sitting on the outside and leaning against the door. So we come to the red light and stop. And then the light turned green.
It's turning around a corner right there.
Making a left on Main Street. And this door let go, and Chris hung on to it, swung out. And there's a man fixing to walk across the street. He run and grabbed him and put him back up in the truck. And Chris just shut the door, and we kept going.
Well, that was a close call.
Yeah.
These trucks were notorious for the latches failing on them. And so we've upgraded the latch system on there and put some late model bear claw latches on there. So, and you can see they close very well now. So what have you got here?
This is a thermometer that was in the office when they first opened the Crossville Lumber Company.
Right there is the phone number.
And that was a 6 or 8 party line. And is back in the late 40s when it opened.
Yeah.
And now there's no sign of it ever existing.
Yeah, that's company's long since gone and the building demolished. And I'm old enough to remember right here in this house, my grandmother, Rose, had a party line. And we didn't have a phone at the time. So you would come up here to make a phone call, yep. And she would always have to interrupt Juanita, was the neighbor across the street, and she was on the party line as well. So Juanita was always listening. So we would have to interrupt Juanita, and so you could make your phone call. I remember that vividly. So after a couple of years and a whole lot of blood, sweat, and tears, we got the truck back on the road with some help from friends and a whole lot of effort. And the year that my dad turned 70 years old, he got the keys back, and he's been enjoying the truck for a little over a decade now. Just about anywhere he goes, you can see Mom riding shotgun with him. So I'm going to tell you a little story about that not even he knows. One day I had went to town to pick up some food at a restaurant, and as I was walking out the front door, I heard a very distinctive rumble coming from the right side down the road there. And I thought to myself, that's got to be something pretty cool. So as I turned my head to see what it was, I saw Mom and Dad tooling down the road there in Ol Smokey, and I thought to myself, yeah, that is definitely cool. And at that moment, it made every little bit of blood, sweat, and tears that we poured into that truck worth it. And so hope you enjoyed the video. And I'm going to ask one favor, and that is that you share the video if you liked it, you like this story about my dad. It would be an absolute kick in the pants to see my 80-year-old dad go viral. So please share the video, like the video, comment on the video, and I'm going to end with a kind of a picture show right here of a few of the photos that I selected out of our Ol Smokey album. So y'all enjoy.
Get out there and feel something.
That's right.